But calling me live right now from the jail here in New York is, in fact, Harvey Weinstein. Harvey, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Sid. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. You know, you're calling me this morning from, I guess, the hospital, the jail, wherever it is, and you know, you live this posh, extraordinary, beautiful life here in New York City, California, around the country. In the last couple of years, of course, your life has been reduced to prison and jail. What has that been like?
Debilitating. It's taken my health, and destroyed it. I have bone marrow cancer. I have spinal stenosis, diabetes. I mean, you name it. And I just take a whole lot of pills every day, and I don't get the care, that I need to, to survive, to be honest, But, and then, of course, I can't see my family and can't see any friends. It's just so hard with visits and stuff like that. So I've gone from very high to very low.
You mentioned family. I know that obviously your wife, she left, but outside of that, there hasn't been a lot of talk, even your brother, Harvey, about your family, kids, other people stepping up and supporting you. I guess maybe in court I wasn't there. I couldn't tell you, but even though you can't see them, do you have support from family and friends?
I speak to my 12-year-old son and my 14-year-old daughter every day, and I speak to my 30-year-old daughter, once a week, twice a week, and I don't see my 28-year-old and my 23-year-old. I haven't seen them in 6 years.
You started off by telling me all the health issues you've got, Harvey, and there will be some in this audience right now that'll be, wow, that's horrible, and, if, God forbid, Harvey's guilty, then it's basically a death sentence at 74 years old with all those ailments. Odds are he'll never come out alive. And others are going, oh, good for him. Scumbag, bad guy, blah, blah, blah. Both of those schools of thought are out there. So what's it like waking up every morning knowing that there are people out there every day that are rooting for you to go away or stay away?
Well, it's changed a lot, in the original, Me Too era, that you could say that, but, with people like Candace Owen and Joe Rogan, just being absolutely vocal and upfront with their support, it's been incredible how many people have pushed for me. It's just, it's the opposite. The tide is definitely turned. This is a situation where, I've taken a lie detector test on one of the girls, and I passed through the roof. We're arranging with Bellevue Hospital to take the other two. I'm willing to take these lie detector tests. I doubt they are, but I hope they will. Right now, we face a tough situation in court because one of the jurors has come forward and just said that he's been bullied or it's playground tactics in the jury, and we need a chance to talk to this juror, and I hope the judge will let Arthur, talk to him, because this is no way to conduct a jury. My life is on the line, and we don't need a jury that's going to act, inappropriately.
Harvey, if your name was Harvey Schwartz and you weren't famous and you weren't this, big-time filmmaker, do you think, in all honesty, that this case would have ever been prosecuted?
Never. Never would have gone to court. It would have been settled civilly, and that would have been the end of it. You got to remember, these three women have big reasons to prosecute. It's called $4.5 million is what they split between them on settlements by saying, I did this. They got paid, and a lot of people got paid to say anything about me. A lot of people got paid to lie about me. I was a touchstone, and there was an insurance company willing to write checks, and there were lawyers who knew it, and there were lawyers who scripted these girls' answers. I mean, some of this stuff is so. I wouldn't put this in my own movie. It's so ridiculously fictional. That I would just say, if I had a script meeting, and they came to me with these three cases, I would say no one would believe this forget it, throw it out. But these are scripted cases, and that's what I'm dealing with.
Harvey Weinstein calling us from his prison hospital at 6:33 on this Monday morning. Has about 9 more minutes. So can you honestly tell me, Harvey, that you've got no regrets, that you did nothing wrong? Forgetting about whether it raises to the level of a sex charge or rape. Forget about that. Are you telling me you've got no regrets and you would not have done anything differently looking back at some of the relationships with these women?
Sid, if I had a chance to do it all over again, I never would have cheated on my wife. I had a great family situation, and I ruined it. It's me. I'm the reason, that was ruined. I acted immorally, but as Arthur said, I never acted illegally. I wouldn't have been with any of these women, had I had, the smarts to really think about my family. And I was selfish, and I'm paying for it, now. But if I was Harvey Schwartz, there wouldn't be a law case with any of these people. But definitely, I apologize to my family, and I apologize to my friends. And some of my friends are so scared to talk to me. They're afraid they're going to be canceled because we have a cancel culture. It's just stunning to me where America has gone, that people can't talk to each other and they're just afraid.
It's interesting that you chose not to testify in court. You're kind of testifying here with me right now, and you may convince some of my listeners that, you're innocent or guilty, I don't know, but you decided, I guess, based on Arthur's recommendation, not to testify in court. I know you put your faith in Arthur, but looking back now, do you think that was the right thing?
I'm you never can be sure about that. At the end of the day, I put my faith in the lawyers and I put my faith in the jury. And now I've gotten the shock of my life, with this juror who's come forward. This is just not what I thought. I thought, everything would be okay with the jury. And
you have 1 minute left.
That's why I didn't testify. That sound of the 1 minute left is the sound of the prison thing.
Yeah, I figured.
So we have 1 minute left.
All right, so in the final minute, obviously you got a great attorney in Arthur Idala. I thought you were going to have till 42.
Arthur Iadella said that when he grows up, he wants to be you, Sid.
Yeah, a lot of people say that. So on the way out, then, what is your feeling about this verdict? Are you confident? Are you not sure? How do you think this thing is going to end up going?
I think with this juror situation, the judge has to give Arthur the opportunity to talk to this juror. We've got to find out what's going on, and that'll tell us whether we're confident or not.
One listener checked in. She said, Harvey's got a daughter. I would ask him about how the effect of the charges have affected his relationship with his daughter. I know you brought up the fact that most of your family and friends you still speak to. You can't see them, but you still speak to. So have there been family members that have said no mas?
Two of my daughters have said no mas. And I'm estranged from them. They're 28 and 23 years old. So I have 5 children altogether. 3 of them have stayed strong, and they have belief in me, and it's pretty unshakable. And I tell you, the tide, millions and millions of supporters. I mean, ever since Rogan and Candace Owen went on, the offense, it's been incredible. And, the New York Times wrote articles like Ashley Judd claims some sexual harassment. It's complete BS. They never researched articles. There was an article in the Washington Post that had Ashley Judd at the English patient party where she was gushing all over me, according to the Washington Post. They never wrote about that in the New York Times. There's tons of research that this Clark Patterson turned up. These people wanted this. The New York Times wanted to prosecute me, and they didn't do the research, these 2 reporters. And now one of them is involved in this Justin Baldoni situation and wrote the same kind of article. They just took dictation now. So Gwyneth Paltrow, who was such a thought was such a part of our company turns out to be full of it, and just wanted to play the victim. You'd be surprised how many of these women actresses wanted to play the victim.
Regardless of the verdict here, Harvey, and again, you've got a great attorney in Arthur Idala. He got the case retried again in New York, which was an amazing job out of him. I would ask you this. What's more important to you? Whether you spend the rest of your life in jail and maybe die there, or your reputation. In other words, if people think that you're not guilty, but you still have to do jail time, is that good enough for you?
Well, if I'm not guilty, I won't have to do jail time, so I get another chance at life, and hopefully that's the case, Sid, not the opposite. My conviction is overturned right now. We're saying, the High Court of Appeals felt that, the court proceedings were unjust and overturned the case. So I'm here on a retrial. The district attorney didn't have to do this, but they're spending millions of dollars, literally millions of dollars, to do this case.
Yeah, but the confusing part, Harvey, is while this is going on in New York, correct me if I'm wrong, but you've been found guilty in Los Angeles. So even if things go well, go ahead.
I have an appeal there, that's so solid that I have no worries. Just like Arthur did his appeal, we have an appeal in Los Angeles that I think is stronger than even the one in New York. I was with a woman who I wasn't with her. I mean, you can't get any better than that. And she sued us civilly, and then she dropped out of her own case because she didn't want to testify. And now in Italy, we're suing the correspondent, the person that she was with, and we have a lawsuit in Italy going. So I have great confidence that Los Angeles will disappear.
On the way out, Harvey, there are repercussions from this case. I mean, again, there's a lot of people out there that are convinced you're guilty, and, you're the face of Me Too, and a lot of women out there that are very angry with you. But there are also men out there that say, well, hold on a second. If this guy is not guilty and he goes away, then there could be a lot more cases of women that bring up charges against men when, in fact, there really is nothing behind that. So there are huge repercussions here for both women and men, depending upon this verdict. I know you understand that.
The women who've been behind me have been mothers of college-age boys, who've, heard and been involved in these cases where women have come forward and said, this happened to me, even though they were drunk together, etc. And so many women, write me and wish me luck, especially these moms of boys. They don't want this to happen to their boy.
Wow. So what happens now the rest of your day? What does your daily life look like in jail?
Well, I go to court now. I get up and go to court, and when I'm not in court, I do a lot of reading. And I told Candace, and I'll tell you, Sid, it's like I repeated my high school syllabus, and read all those books like Great Gatsby, Catcher in the Rye, and especially Farewell to Arms. And I should get a pass so I can just make that a movie. But I read a movie. I read a book that somebody should make into a movie called Demon Copperhead by Barbara Consalver, which is just one of the best books I've ever read. So I do a ton of reading. I read Barry Diller's memoir, which was wonderful, Graydon Carter's. Terrence McNally has a book out now that's just so powerful and meaningful. So I always was a reader, and now I have more time on my hands to do nothing but read.
Do you have a chance to go outside at all throughout the day? They give you an hour. What does that look like?
You get about an hour to just walk around, and I'm in a wheelchair, so I'm just wheelchaired around. So it's this is jail, and Rikers Island. I'm in Bellevue, thank God. Thank God for Arthur and his team, Imran. Sorry, who got me back into Bellevue when I was sick, and I needed the care here. But when I was at Rikers is medieval. It's a horrible place, and it should be torn down. And it's been promised for years to be torn down. And these are just empty promises. But they treat people, upstate you get treated like a human being, and in Rikers Island you get treated like subhuman.
Well, give me an example of something that happened to you at Rikers. Listen, I disagree with you. Excluding your case here, whether you're guilty or not, I believe that criminals should be treated poorly. That's why they're in jail. Not inhumane, but poorly, I don't care. But tell me what happened. Give me an example of something happened to you at Rikers that you would call
poorly,
inhumane.
I understand that we lose our rights. I understand that situation, Sid. So I get it, what you're saying. But when I had a viral infection, they gave me antibiotics, and that's the worst thing you can do, to give somebody antibiotics, and it caused a fungus infection. So getting the wrong drugs, the wrong medical care, that's what's happened to me at Rikers. It's not about my rights being taken away, or I can't visit at a certain time or anything along those lines. I understand that, and I understand I'm in prison, but I don't understand when prescriptions are misprescribed. That's criminal.
On the way out, Harvey, I know that Arthur did a really great job. I had a lot of people tell me Arthur was kind of like a maitre d' at the Copacabana at the end of that trial. He was schmoozing with everybody and got a couple of laughs, from the crowd. And, P. Diddy just got in trouble a couple of days ago because of the way he looked at the jury. He was winking his eye. Have you had a chance to take a look at the jury just to try to get some type of feeling which way they may go? Have they given you any indication whether they're with you or not?
I'm with Arthur. I don't look at the jury in any such way that can be intimidating, or friendly. I'm just neutral. And, it's this juror. We've got this situation. We've got a situation on our hands. And, Arthur's going to handle it, and, he's got Judge Kamens, and he's got, a team of people working on this, and this juror is just shocking what's happened in court.
Well, let me ask you this. This juror now, what is the best case scenario for you and Arthur with this juror? What are you possibly looking at?
We must find out what went on. If there was bullying going on, we must find out. If there's misconduct in the jury, then it's a mistrial. So the judge has got to give Arthur the opportunity to cross-examine this juror.
3 times you've been in court already, Harvey, for these cases. How difficult has that been, sitting in a courtroom 3 times?
Sid, you have an amazing understanding of things. It is, incredibly difficult. Your life is on the line. Your family's on the line. Yeah, I never in a million years, I'd never gotten a ticket for jaywalking. I never was in trouble with the law. I never had a DUI. I never had any routine crime, anything. 0. To go from 0 to 100, it's just been the greatest shock of my life.
I know you're getting ready to go to court, and the rest of your days right in front of you, Harvey. So on the way out, for people that are listening, maybe your family members, they probably are, friends, people that have supported you, and people that do not support you. What is your goodbye message to folks listening in New York today?
Believe me, I'm telling the truth. I'm no saint, but I'm not a sexual. But I never with these 3 women did I ever hurt them or lunge at them or anything or do anything untoward towards all 3 of them. And the most important thing is, even they admit that they had consensual relationships with me. So it's stunning to say, hey, he raped me, but then I went to bed with him, consensually. Can you imagine that, Sid? I mean, it's just unbelievable. I mean, it's so scripted. It's appalling. I could not make this up if I was making a movie about it.
Harvey, thank you for calling in today, and we'll speak to you soon. Good luck, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you very much.
I'm a great fan of yours, Sid. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That is Harvey Weinstein from jail. He actually called back twice. So let's take a short break, Lou. We'll come back on a Monday morning. Sid and Friends in the morning right after this.